If you're new to sewing, stitching the fly of a pair of pants can be something that seems pretty daunting. It's got curves, zippers, seam allowance, top stitching, a whole bunch of stuff. And it really doesn't help going online. You get a bunch of different videos, contradicting advice, and overall confusing experience. Well, that all stops today. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to sew a zipper fly. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chad. I'm your Tall Tailor. Sewing the fly of a pants is something that seemed a little bit confusing on the outside, but when you get into it, it's a pretty straightforward process. I'll be breaking that down for you here. This is going to be video number 1 in a trilogy of videos that shows you guys how to sew different types of flies. The first video, this one, will be how to sew a zipper fly on a pair of casual pants, something like a pair of jeans or chinos. Video number 2 will be showing you guys how to sew a zipper fly for more of like a dress pants with less top stitching. And video number 3 will be showing you guys how to sew up a button fly for pants if you want to do that. I'm not a big fan of button flies, but I figured I'd show you guys how to do that anyway. That's enough talking. Grab your sewing machine and let's get to sewing. Before we actually start sewing, let's look at a pair of pants that we're going to be modeling our zipper fly off of so we can see exactly what we're doing. Now the pants I've chosen are these Aeropostale jeans. It's a pretty standard pair of pants. I feel like these are sewn quite similarly to all the types of jeans and pants that you'll see. So it's a really good model about how to sew a zipper fly. I just want to go over a couple of terms. First thing is the parts of the zipper fly. So there are 5 parts of the zipper fly, and I'm going to go over all 5 of them so you guys can see where they are on a pair of pants like this, and then we can translate to the pair that we're making. All right, so first up we have the left and right panels. So this panel here is the right panel. I'm gonna put an R here so you guys can see. R for right, and this one is the left, L for left. So this is gonna be on the left side of the body, and this is going to be on the right side of the body. Now the second part of our zipper fly is of course our zipper. That's what our zipper looks like here on this pair of pants. It can either be metal or it could be plastic. A general rule of thumb you want to use is if the fabric is heavier, something like a denim, canvas, waxed canvas, something like that, you want to use like a metal zipper because it's a lot heavier. If the fabric's lighter, linen, cotton, like leather, stuff like that, you want to use a plastic zipper. But of course that doesn't really apply in every situation. This is more of like a heavier material denim. You have a metal zipper. This is a pair of cargo pants I have, and it's more of a thin material. It's 100% cotton. This also has a metal zipper. So again, it really depends on like how you're feeling and what style of zipper you want to put on your pants. You don't necessarily have to do, heavier material for metal zipper, lighter material for plastic zipper. All right, next up we have 2 more parts for our zipper fly. The first one is going to be on the left side of the pants, so this side right here. I don't know the exact term of this, so I just made it up. This is called the zipper flap. It's this piece of material that is on the interior of the left pants, this piece right here. And what it does is it stitches the left pant panel, so this big piece right here, to the zipper. It's sort of like a bridge between the two. I don't know the exact proper terminology for this, but I just call it the left zipper flap or the zipper flap because it's a flap that's on the left side of the pants attached to the zipper, the left zipper flap. All right, and our last part of the zipper fly is this part right here, this extension here, and I call this the right zipper guard. It's on the right side of the pants. It guards the zipper from, whatever is inside here, right? So without this piece of fabric, the zipper would be pressing right up against, your body. That can be a little bit uncomfortable. So it's guarding your body from the zipper. So the right zipper guard. So we have the right zipper guard, the left zipper flap, the zipper, the left pant panel of the front, and the right pant panel of the front. So those are the 5 pieces that we need to make our zipper fly. Now that we have an understanding of what the zipper fly looks like on a pair of pants, let's go over our materials and see exactly what we'll need to make this. First up, we need our front right and left panels. So here I made them just a mock-up of a front right and left panel out of some muslin, a really cheap fabric. I marked X's on the wrong sides of the fabric so you guys won't get confused. So this is the left side of the pants. I'll make an L here. Again, goes on the left side of your body. I'll make an R here. Next up, we'll need some fabric for our zipper flap and our zipper guard. For the zipper flap, I'm using a scrap of light wash denim. So it's gonna be on the left side of the pants. And for the zipper guard on the right side, I'm using a scrap of dark wash denim. And lastly, we'll need a zipper. This is just a regular plastic zipper. It's 1 inch by 7.5 inches. So it's a relatively decent size for a zipper fly for pants. Some other things we'll need are some tailor's chalk. So I have tailor's chalk here. We'll need scissors. Optionally, we'll need a pen. We'll also need some rulers. Here I have a 12 inch by 1.5 inch ruler, and here I have a 2 inch by 18 inch ruler. These are the 2 rulers I use for most of my sewing projects. This is more like a flexible ruler. This is more of a rigid 12-inch ruler. All right, so we have our materials and we have an example pair of pants. Now let's start sewing. First thing we'll need is our rise of our pants. So this is the left rise and this is the right rise for the pants. And then let's compare the length of our zipper to the length of our rise. So if I put the zipper all the way to the top, you can see that the zipper comes down about the entire length of the rise almost before it starts to curve. This is generally what you want. You want the zipper to be on more of a straight portion of the rise. The length of the zipper that you use really depends on the length of your rise. Generally, if you have a longer rise, you want a longer zipper. And if you have a shorter rise, of course, you want a shorter zipper. This zipper takes up about 2/3 of the rise. So it is a little bit more of a long zipper. Generally, if I had a rise this length, I'd want something a little bit shorter, but this is gonna be fine for example purposes. Now, the first thing we wanna do when sewing the zipper flap of our pants is we want to overlock the rise for both sides, so the right and the left side. So overlock this side right here and overlock this side right here. Just take it on your serger, your overlock machine, and just run over all the sides so that the frayed edges don't continue to fray. If you don't have an overlock machine, you can use a zigzag stitch on your regular sewing machine. So I'll do one where I overlock the stitch. I'll do one where I zigzag it so you guys can see the difference. I'm just gonna take this to the sewing machine and I'll be right back. All right, coming back from the sewing machine, here we have our right side, which I use a zigzag stitch on. And here is our left side, which I use the overlock. So the overlock obviously looks a lot better than the zigzag, but you know, if you're in a pinch, you don't actually have an overlock machine, this will work just fine. Next up, we're gonna grab our iron and we're gonna fold in the rise by either 1/2 inch or whatever seam allowance it says on your pattern or whichever seam allowance you decided for yourself. I'm just gonna fold this in by 1/2 inch. It's a lot simpler. But if you're doing this on a pattern or anything like that, it usually says a seam allowance to fold this in by, but I'm just gonna do it by 1/2 inch. Now that this is done, let's start with the left side of our pants. So we can put the right side away and let's start attaching the zipper. Taking a look at the zipper here, you can see that it has the actual zipper teeth. So this part that's right here, there's a stopper at the end, a metal stopper, as well as the zipper slider on the top. It also has 2 zipper stoppers on the top here, and you can see those a lot better from the underside. And what we're going to do next is we're going to measure our zipper. As you can see, this zipper comes out to 7.5 inches. 7.5 inches by about 1 inch. It's a little less than 1 inch, but 1 inch approximately. And this measurement is what we're going to use to determine how big we should make our zipper flap on the left side of the pants. We want to make the zipper flap a little bit longer than the length of the zipper tape. You want to make it a little bit wider, about double the width and about 1 inch or so longer on the top. So grabbing your scrap piece of fabric, since this is about 1 inch wide and 7.5 inches long, I'm gonna make this 8.5 inches by 2 inches. So double the width and about 1 inch longer. All right, here is our zipper flap cut out. You can see it's a little bit longer and it's about double the width when I said side by side. One thing we want to do, we also want to cut out a curved end at the bottom of it because that's something we see mostly on pants. Why is there a curved end here? To be completely honest, I'm not too sure. I tried to look it up and see what's the reason why, but I didn't find a definitive answer. I think maybe it's like one of those historical things that's just kind of grandfathered in. People have been doing it for a while, so that's why it's there. Also, it might be like a reason to save fabric. Maybe just cutting it like that saves fabric or something like that. But it's on pretty much most pants. If we bring back our Aeropostale pants here and we see the interior, it's curved at the bottom here. There's a curve. Why did they do that again? Like, I'm not really too sure. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's because there's a curve on the top here, but I've seen pants where they don't have this or they don't even have a curve here. It's just straight. So maybe it's not necessary. Maybe it's just one of those things that people have been doing it for a long time. That's why they do it. I'm going to do it here because that's what you're going to see on most pants. So I'm going to cut a curve on this side. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't really exactly matter the shape of the curve. That's done, that's cut out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this to our sewing machine and we're going to overlock the curved end. All right, I'm gonna take this to the sewing machine and I'll be right back. Coming back from the machine, this is what it looks like when it's overlocked. Here you can see the stitching. It's nice, and this is just gonna help prevent fraying of the fabric. Now our next step is to attach the zipper flap to the left side of the pants. Okay, pause sewing for a second. I wanna go on a little bit of a tangent. You might notice that on the pair of pants that you usually men's pants. I think women's pants as well too, but they're right side entry. And by right side entry, I mean that the entry, when you unzip the pants, it's for your right hand. So you can see I can put my right hand in there, no problem. When it comes to put my left hand in, I can't do it. Now, whether you sew it on the right or the left side, so right side entry or left side entry, doesn't really matter. You can do it either or. It doesn't really, take away from the shape of the pants or the construction or anything like that. You pretty much take all the steps I'm showing you and telling you here, and you just flip it. So when I say right side, you do left side. When I say left side, you do right side. So pretty much picture this, but then flip it. So if you want to do a left side entry pants, it's exactly the same steps. Okay, I just want to say that. Let's get back to sewing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold open that piece that I folded in, and we're going to attach these two with the right sides facing each other. But first up is I'm going to place our zipper right at the edge of the left front panel. So right at the top there, make sure it's lined up, and lay it flat all the way at the bottom here. I'm just going to grab my pen and mark where it ends at the bottom there, so we know exactly where it ends. And I'm going to use this as a guide of where to put the curved end here. So the curved end is going to go right where that mark is. From that mark, lay it flat. And as you can see here, it overhangs by a little bit, but that's fine. We can always trim that off. This is the front rise of the pants. And in most cases, most pants that you see or most patterns, it's going to be angled slightly downwards because the front of your body is smaller than the back. So it's going to be a little bit of an angle. So that's why I made this larger. We have the two pieces of fabric, right sides facing each other. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch at 1/2 inch of seam allowance, or whatever seam allowance it says on your pattern or that you've determined. You're just going to stitch these two pieces together right from the edge all the way up. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'll be right back. All right, this is what our stitch is looking like. 1/2 inch seam allowance. I did some orange thread, so hopefully it'll be a lot easier to see the stitch. Now next up, I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to press this in this direction. All right, now that this is pressed, we can either do one of two stitches. We can do an understitch, stitching a stitch right here so it catches this piece of fabric as well as the seam allowance, and then we'll tuck it under. That's why it's called an understitch. And so you'll see a stitch here, but you won't see a stitch here. That's one option, one thing we can do. Or we can do the easier method, which is just folding this in half and then making a top stitch all the way over here. It does the exact same thing, stitches both of them together, but this time on the top stitch, you see a stitch here and you see a stitch here. I'm gonna do the first option. I'm gonna do the understitch because I just like how that looks. I'm gonna take it to the machine and stitch right here. This is what the understitch looks like after it's back from the sewing machine. You can see when I flip it, there's a stitch underneath here, but there's no stitch on top. Now that that's done, we can actually start putting the zipper to our zipper fly. First thing we're gonna do is we're going to take our zipper and we're gonna lay it face down, so the zipper side down. Gonna line it up right at the top of our rise here. And we're also going to line it up right at the edge. So I chose two different colors, so it's a lot easier to see. We wanna make it so that when it's folded like this, you don't actually see the zipper. Now we're gonna stitch the zipper just to the zipper flap. So that's the blue part, not to the beige part. It definitely helps if you pin it, so that's a lot easier and the zipper doesn't move around when you're sewing. So we're gonna be stitching this side of the zipper, not this side. This one right here, we're gonna stitch it to the blue part, the zipper flap. All right, I'm gonna bring this to the sewing machine and I'll be right back. The left side of the pants is almost finished. We have the zipper stitched to the zipper flap, which is stitched to the rise of the left side of the pants. Now we're gonna be stitching the zipper flap to the left side of the pants. What we want to do is we want to flip it over like so. Done it with chalk, some red Tailor chalk. Mark out a curve, and then we're going to be stitching along this curve, and it's going to be attaching the left side of the pants to the zipper flap. When I bring out this sample pair of pants, you can see exactly what that curve we're going to be stitching looks like. One thing we do want to remember though, very important, is when we stitch, you can start from the top, stitch all the way down. But when we get to the bottom here, we want to make sure that we only stitch this side of the zipper tape. This side we want to leave open because we're going to be using it for the other side of the pants. So we're going to make sure we can even fold that up and then tuck it over so we can just stitch it. We won't be stitching this down. So again, stitch from the edge, the top here, all the way down, curved over, making sure not to stitch this on. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. I'll be right back. Back from the machine, we're looking beautiful. You can see I added a double stitch there all the way, and it curves all the way down there. And this part is still open. The next thing that we have to do is we have to cut out the zipper guard. So that's going to be the part that extends out here on the right side. So that's a scrap piece of fabric, and we're essentially going to be doing the exact same thing that we did on the left side of the pants with the zipper flap, but we're going to be doing it on the right. Take some fabric, I fold it over. I'm going to be cutting, it was 2 inches by I think 8.5. Grab a ruler. This is what that flap looks like, and we're going to be cutting a curve on this side as well too. But as you can see, it's doubled. It has to be doubled over because this part has to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to be flipping it with the right sides facing each other like this. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and stitch the curve on the side, and then we can cut it out afterwards. Back from the sewing machine, this is what it looks like. As you can see, I stitched the curve and I just trimmed it on the edge. Now I can flip this inside out and boom, look at that. See, we have a zipper guard with a curve at the bottom. One thing I do want to bring up is that this part doesn't have to be a curve. You can just keep it straight. I've seen so many pants where there's just pretty much a rectangle. I'm just going to iron the zipper guard now to make sure that it lays nice and flat. And we're going to be taking this back to the sewing machine, and we're going to be stitching just an edge stitch here as well as here. And we're going to be overlocking this edge here as well too. We have our zipper guard stitched up, and we can just finish it off here. But one thing I do like to do, and I wish more brands did actually, is add a little bit of designs on this. This is going to be a part of the pants that you're not going to be able to see from the outside. So you can really take advantage of that. Maybe like put like a logo here or embroidery or something. I'm just gonna do squiggles, something like that, you know, because it looks a little bit different, it's a little bit more creative, and I kind of like how the way it looks, even though you're not gonna be able to see this on the outside. I'm gonna take this to the sewing machine and then I'll bring it back and show you guys. This is what the zipper guard looks like with all of the stitching on it. As I said, this isn't something that you have to do, but it's definitely something I recommend doing because it looks nice, it looks cool, adds a little bit of personality. Now we're going to be sewing the zipper guard to the right side of the zipper tape. Now you can see why I left this part open previously, because we're going to be using it to attach to the zipper guard like that. You can add some pins if you need to just secure these two together, and we're going to be sewing all the way from here all the way up. Make sure to put the end of the zipper guard at the bottom of the zipper tape. All right, so we stitched the zipper guard onto the right side of the zipper tape. That's what that's looking like. You can zip that back up. There we go. Now we're going to be attaching the right side of the pants to the right side of the zipper tape. First thing we want to do is we want to line up the two tops together. So line up the zipper tape and the rise of the pants. Place that right there. And then you can add pins if you need to help out all the way along to secure it in place. At the bottom here, you can see the zipper stopper, this metal piece right here. And we're going to be opening up the fabric, the seam allowance that we folded over. We're going to be placing it right underneath the zipper stopper. So I've already done that. I've cut out a small piece here, the seam allowance, and we can just fold that over so that it lays nice and flat here. We're gonna be stitching this down as well as running a stitch from the top all the way down. We're gonna be coming across and sewing this over. So I'm gonna take this to the sewing machine. I'll be right back. Now when sewing this close to the zipper, it definitely does help to switch to the zipper foot. It looks just like this. Pretty simple to use. It does have a raised edge here, so the zipper can slide right underneath it. It won't pull on the fabric or anything like that. So I'm just gonna be switching this over. Making sure to line up the top of the zipper tape to the top of the rise, and now I can start stitching. Now when sewing, there is going to come a point in time where your pressure foot meets up with your zipper slider, and it can be a little bit difficult to move the zipper slider out of the way. You can try like maneuvering the fabric, moving it around, but sometimes it just doesn't work. What I like to do is I like to make sure that the needle is inside the fabric, and then I like to lift up the presser foot, take off the presser foot, and then now I can freely move the zipper out of the way. When that's done, I can just put the presser foot back on and then continue stitching. I do this pretty much all the time. It's quick and easy, really easy to get the zipper slider out of the way. Now we're getting to that horizontal piece. We can just lift up the foot, rotate the fabric, press your foot back down, add a stitch, back stitch. All right, the stitch is done and we're in the home stretch now. So I added the double stitch here and made sure to stitch down this notch here. Last thing we gotta do is we gotta sew up the rest of the rise bottom parts here. And this is pretty simple. I do recommend, again, getting some pins for this. So we're gonna be pinning these two sides together. We have everything pinned up and we're making one stitch starting from the bottom here, stitching along the edge all the way up till we get to here. Make another horizontal stitch and stitch all the way back down. I'm gonna take this to the sewing machine and I'll be right back. We're almost done with the zipper fly. We added that stitch at the bottom that sews the left and the right sides of the rise together. So what that looks like, pretty nice, pretty secure. Everything's sewn together, nice and strong. One last thing we have to do is add a stitch that secures this zipper guard to the top of the fabric here. So when we unzip the fly and open it up, you can see it kind of opens up all the way, which isn't something that we want to do. So we're just going to add one stitch here that secures it. And then just showing you what that looks like on the Aeropostale jeans, that's this right here. It opens up and it makes sure that the pants don't open up all the way. Now what I like to do is I just like to sew that stitch right on one of the lines. I already stitched, so it's nice and seamless. Somewhere around the bottom here. So I'm going to be taking this to sewing machine and I will be right back. We added that last stitch. Let's take a look at it. I made it a green color, so it's going to be a lot easier to see. I kind of overshot the stitch line here, but that's fine. It's okay. As long as when you sew it together, it serves its purpose to prevent you from opening the zipper flap all the way. All right. That's it. And we are done. This is what the zipper fly looks like. I made it on some muslin. Again, it's just, just a chopped up piece of front rise. One thing I do want to, again, stress a lot is if you guys do have time, I do recommend stitching some designs here on the zipper guard for the pants. I think it looks really cool. Again, as I said, it's a really great way to express your creativity. I think more brands should do it. I don't really see it too often. If you guys make pants, definitely do it. Add some embroidery there or some top stitching or even like a logo, like a brand, something like that. That'd be kind of cool if you're making pants. Again, no one's gonna see it on the outside when I zip up the pants. Boom, so you can't even see that. So it's perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really hope that this made everything straightforward and a lot easier so that the task isn't as daunting. So when you sew zipper flies for pants, you're not stressing out, scrambling what you want to do. It's gonna be a lot easier and a lot more straightforward. Thank you guys again for watching. It's gonna be my last video for the year. So yeah, Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that stuff. I'll see you guys in 2023. Bye. Okay,